Are you looking for a course that takes you from a complete beginner to building your own beautiful websites? Or have you taken other HTML and CSS courses or tutorials but still wonder how to code a real-world website? Then you have come to the right place. I am Jonas, and this is the best-selling HTML and CSS course on Udemy. In this course, you will learn how to code HTML5, CSS3 and even some jQuery, all while designing and coding this beautiful web design project step by step from complete scratch. And as you build each of these carefully designed sections, you will learn new code, tips, tricks and modern best practices to make you a great web designer and developer in no time. I also show you how to find and use free images, fonts and icons, how to make modern animation effects with jQuery, how to optimize your website for top performance, and even how to launch it to the internet. So by the end of the course, you'll have this complete, ready-to-launch website that looks great on any computer, tablet, or smartphone. So you see that this course is full-packed with content. And it comes in at over 11 hours of downloadable video, friendly and fast support in the Udemy Q&A section if you ever get stuck and need help to move on, and tons of useful design and coding resources that all my students really love. So if you're a complete HTML and CSS beginner, this course really is perfect for you. Over 50,000 students have already signed up and left thousands of 5-star reviews. And I'm sure you're gonna love the course just as much as they did. So don't wait, join me in the course today and I see you inside.
I want to thank you so much for embarking on this journey with me. I'm really glad that you're here. You've come to the right place to learn about web design and development. In this course, I'm going to show you step by step how to design and develop a beautiful website from complete scratch, using the latest web technologies HTML5, CSS3 and a little bit of jQuery. You will build a unique website using a new skill set that you will be proud of. A website that is both beautiful and functional. But there is more. In this course, you will not just learn how to code, because building real-world websites is more than just writing some code. It's a step-by-step process that requires designing, coding, and so much more. And you will learn all of that in just this course. So, I hope you are as excited as I am to start learning all the powerful new skills I packed into this course. We will learn hands-on web development with HTML5, CSS3 and some jQuery. Together, we will work on a real-world landing page for a fictional company I made up just for this course. The proven 7 real-world steps from complete scratch to a fully functional and optimized website. You'll learn simple-to-use web design guidelines and tips to make your website stand out from the crowd. I'll show you how to get and use amazing images, fonts, and icons to make your website shine, all for free. Responsive web design, which means that you will learn how to create websites that work beautifully on all screen sizes. And this is a must-have skill in today's mobile world. How to use jQuery for super cool effects like animations, scroll effects, and sticky navigation to set your website apart and wow your users. During the entire course, you'll learn how to work with brackets the super effective way, which is the best text editor for web development in the world. And finally, I'll teach you how to optimize your website for good speed performance and for search engines. So, how is this course structured? The course is basically divided into 4 main parts. First, in section 2, you will learn the basics of web design. And with that, I mean all the guidelines, tips, and tricks you need to master beautiful web design in a simple and practical way. After that, in sections 3 and 4, you'll learn the very basics of front-end web development with HTML and CSS. These are short and easy to understand lectures that will get you ready for the killer website project. Which brings us to part 3. This is where the fun begins. Over the sections 5 and 6, you will put in action our proven 7-step plan and use the latest web technologies to build a stunning real-world website. Once you're comfortable with some pretty advanced HTML5 and CSS3 techniques, you will even be adding some cool jQuery effects to the game. And in the end, you will make your website super fast and optimize it for search engines. And to finish, you will even learn how to launch your final website to the internet for the entire world to see it. Now, I know how you're feeling. All of this feels a bit overwhelming, right? But don't worry, you're not alone. I am Jonas, and I am your instructor. Believe me, coding doesn't have to be hard or scary or boring. I'm here to guide you step by step and to help you with everything I can. I really want you to be successful with this course. And I know how you feel because I've been exactly where you are right now. I started to learn web design and development about 8 years ago. There was no such thing as Udemy courses back then. So I went through the pain of going through I don't know how many books and literally thousands of online articles and tutorials. And I want to spare you all that pain. So I packed everything I learned on that long journey right into this course. I'll show you everything. I would actually say that this is exactly the course I wish I had when I first started building websites. So please feel free to contact me. You can ask me anything. And you can reach me on Facebook, Twitter, email, and of course in the forums of this course, but more on that in the next lecture. So join me now on this adventure and start your next lecture right now, where I will tell you all you need to do to be super successful with this course. Now that we have our super text editor installed, let's talk about HTML. Now, this HTML section, together with the CSS section, is designed to get you started for our big web page project that we will be working on later. Here, we will just cover some very basic things like the structure of any web page, how to use headings, paragraphs, images, and links, just to get you started. But let me first show you what we'll build in this section and in the next one, using HTML and CSS. It's a very, very simple fake blog post web page. But it looks pretty cool for your first web page, right? So, starting with HTML. But first of all, what is HTML? HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. So it's a markup language and not actually a programming language. HTML documents are described by HTML tags, like these 3 you see here. Each HTML tag describes a different type of content, such as headings, paragraphs, or links. We use tags to mark up the beginning and end of an element. Each element is written with an opening tag and a closing tag, with the content in between. So the closing tag is just the same as the opening tag, but with a slash. We will see all of that when we start the real coding. And web browsers, such as Google Chrome, can read HTML files we code and translate them into visible web pages. Alright, now that we know what HTML is, we can move on to some real coding in the next lecture. In this video, we'll create a new project in brackets and talk about the common structure of any HTML document. Let's start by creating an empty folder where we will put our first HTML file. I'll create this folder right here on my desktop, but you can create your working folder wherever you like. We'll call this one blog post because, as I showed you before, we will start by building a simple blog post web page. I'll leave it empty and just leave it here. And now let's finally open up brackets to start coding. Now by clicking on this button here, we can open the folder we just created. So it's this blog post folder right here. And brackets now uses this folder as our project folder. So all files contained in this folder will be part of our project. Now we are able to create an empty file. And for that, just hit the File menu and then New. And that's it. Very simple. Now let's save it and give it a name. Just File, Save, and we're going to call it index.html so that the computer recognizes this as an HTML document. Index.html is the standard name for the main HTML file of any project. So as I mentioned before, HTML documents are described by elements. Now all HTML documents have a common structure where the HTML element is the first one, always. So we'll start with this one, HTML, and close it. And now, you see, brackets helps us here and closes the tag automatically for us. Pretty useful. Okay, now inside the HTML element, there are always two key elements in every structure. It's the head and the body. These are the main components of any web page. So let's just put them into the HTML element. So head, and brackets also helps us with this. It automatically recognizes what we want to write. So now I just hit return and close the tag, and like magic the other closing tag appears. So the head, and the same thing for the body tag. And save it. You can also hit Command S or Control S on a Windows machine. The head element can include a title for your website, CSS styles, some information for the browser or for search engines, and more. We will work on all of that later. The body element is where all the visible stuff of your web page goes, like all the content such as text, links, images, lists, and many more elements. So this is the very basic structure of an HTML document. But actually, there is one thing missing here, and that's the so-called doc type. The doc type declaration must be the very first thing in your HTML document, even before the HTML tag. So let's just put it here. It goes like this, doc type and the doc type in HTML. Alright, this is technically not an HTML element, but an instruction to the browser about what version of HTML the page is written in. So at this declaration, I just told the browser that this file will be in HTML5. And save our document again. And speaking of saving, let's install our very first brackets extension. I will just hit this button here, like I showed you before. And here, clicking on the available tag, and we'll write autosave. This little extension takes care of saving all our files whenever we leave the brackets app, which is very useful. So I already have it installed, but you can just click here on this install button. Alright, now we know how to create the basic structure of an HTML element. In the next video, we'll finally start to code some visible stuff for our first web page. Welcome to the CSS Basics section. So far, we have used HTML to put content on our web page. Now, we'll use some basic CSS to actually style that content to make it look the way we want it. After this section, you will be able to build a simple layout with some formatted content. We will continue to work on this simple blog post web page that I showed you before. So we will add some more content, build a simple layout, and style the whole thing. After this section, we will be ready to start on our killer website project. So, what is CSS? CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. CSS defines exactly how HTML elements should look. It allows us to make a clear separation between content and style. HTML is the content and CSS is the style. These two images show the exact same HTML, with the only difference that the website on the left side has not been formatted with CSS yet. It's just bare HTML, which doesn't look very good, of course. So how are we going to use CSS in practice? There are 3 ways to use CSS. First, we can write CSS code right inside an HTML tag using the style attribute. Second, we can write CSS code in the head section of an HTML document. And third, CSS code can be put into an external file. And this is what we're actually going to do. Remember what I said about how CSS allows us to separate content from style? That is why we'll put all our visual styles in a separate file, because it's a much cleaner solution and therefore everybody does it that way. So let's go back to brackets and do this. So let's start by creating a new file, just as we did before with the HTML file. So File, New, and then save it with Command S or Control S. And I will call it style.css. Okay, that's it. You see? Now it appears here in our project folder. Now I'm going to go back to the HTML file, because now we have to tell the HTML file in which CSS file the new styles will be. So to link these 2 documents, we use the link tag in the HTML head. Just like this. Link. And this is another element which has no closing tag, so it's just link. I hope you remember HTML attributes, because we will use them right now. So to start, we tell the browser that we want to link a style sheet. This rel and style sheet. Then next, we tell the HTML document that it is a CSS file. And finally, with the href attribute we used before for our links, we tell the document where the CSS styles are. Style.css, which is the file we just created before. So I hit enter, and now these 2 documents are linked. Alright, now we are ready to start writing some CSS, and let's do that in the next lecture.